The silverware trembled in my hand as my sister's words cut through the Christmas dinner conversation. "It's just so sad that some people never reach their potential," Olivia said, her eyes sliding toward me with practiced pity. "Catherine, maybe you should ask Mr. Townsend about openings in the mail room. At least it's a real company." Mr. Townsend, Olivia's boss and dinner guest, chuckled on cue, wine sloshing in his crystal glass. The sound of their shared laughter seemed to amplify as the blood rushed to my ears. I felt my chest constrict as I watched my parents exchange that look. The one that carried 17 years of disappointment since I'd abandoned the family plan. My phone vibrated silently in my pocket. The fourth urgent message from the board about tomorrow's acquisition. The one that would make or break Townsend's career. The one that only required my signature. "My name is Catherine. I'm 32 and this is the story of how I stopped hiding my success from the family that defined me by my failures." I hadn't planned to reveal anything tonight. For 5 years I'd maintained the careful illusion of mediocrity, the modest teaching job, the struggling apartment, the second-hand Honda. All while building Summit Enterprises into a global powerhouse that had quietly acquired Townsend's company through a subsidiary last quarter, finalizing the full merger just over a year ago. "The garage is all ready for you, Kathy," my mother announced, breaking into my thoughts. "We put a space heater out there since Amanda needs the guest room. She's pregnant, you know," as if pregnancy ranked higher than basic hospitality. The table fell silent, relatives pretending not to listen while catching every word. This was their annual entertainment, watching Catherine get put in her place. "The garage," I kept my voice neutral despite the December chill already seeping through the windows. "Don't be dramatic," Mom said, passing the cranberry sauce without looking at me. "There's a heater and it's not like you're not used to modest accommodations." I thought about my penthouse overlooking Central Park. The vacation home in Maui, the private island I'd purchased last summer, all carefully hidden under layers of shell companies and discrete ownership structures. "The garage is fine," I said, slicing my turkey into precise pieces. "I'm sure it's better than what most of my community college students have." Olivia's smile widened. She loved it when I mentioned my teaching job. More proof in her mind of my failure to launch. "That's the spirit," she said, her diamond bracelet catching the light as she reached for her wine. "At least you know your place." After dinner, Olivia led me to the garage, a cold concrete space despite the small heater humming ineffectively in the corner. They'd set up an old military cot between Dad's golf clubs and boxes of Christmas decorations. A thin blanket lay folded at one end, probably pulled from the back of some closet. "Dinner tomorrow is at 7:00 p.m., Olivia said, her voice echoing in the bare space. "Try not to track any dirt into the house when you come in." As the door closed behind her, I pulled out my phone. 3 urgent emails from the board needed attention before tomorrow's meeting. The same meeting where Olivia's boss would be presenting his quarterly reports, unaware that his year-end bonus depended entirely on my approval. I smiled slightly as I typed out my responses. Olivia had no idea that her perfect boss, Mr. Townsend, had spent the last month desperately trying to arrange a meeting with the elusive CEO of Summit Enterprises, the parent company that had quietly acquired their firm last year. My phone buzzed with a text from my assistant. "Mr. Townsend asked again about meeting you before tomorrow's board meeting. Should I tell him you're unavailable?" "No," I typed back. "Let him think I'm still in London. It'll make dinner more interesting." I changed into fresh clothes, carefully hiding my designer blouse under a plain sweater. The garage was freezing, but I'd endured worse in my early days of building my empire. While Olivia had been climbing the corporate ladder, bragging about each small promotion, I'd been quietly acquiring companies, restructuring industries, and building something far bigger than anyone in my family could imagine. At precisely 7:00 p.m. The next evening, I walked into the dining room, taking my assigned seat at the far end of the table, as far from the important guests as possible. Olivia sat near the head next to Mr. Townsend and his wife, laughing at something he'd said. "Catherine," Dad called out. "Olivia was just telling us about her latest promotion, Junior Vice President of Operations. Isn't that wonderful?" I nodded, accepting the plate of turkey being passed my way. "Congratulations, Liv. Summit Enterprises must be impressed with your work." Mr. Townsend smiled broadly. "She's one of our rising stars. The merger with Summit last year has opened up so many opportunities for talented people like Olivia." "The merger?" Mom sighed happily. "We were so worried when we heard Summit had bought the company, but it's turned out wonderfully. Though no one seems to know much about Summit's CEO. Very mysterious, isn't it?" Olivia leaned forward, eager to share her insider knowledge. Apparently she's this reclusive billionaire who never appears in public. Some say she lives in London. Others think she's in Tokyo. No one at our level has ever met her. I took a sip of wine to hide my smile. If they only knew that the mysterious CEO they were gossiping about was sitting at the end of their table banished to sleep in their garage. I heard she's brilliant, Mr. Townsend offered. Transformed at least 12 major companies in the last 5 years, built Summit from nothing. Well, Olivia said dismissively, she can't be that brilliant if she's hiding from everyone. Probably some trust fund baby who got lucky. Just then Mr. Townsend's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, his face turning slightly pale. Excuse me, I need to take this. He stepped into the hallway, but his voice carried clearly into the dining room. Yes, I have those reports ready for tomorrow's board meeting. No, I haven't been able to reach Mrs. CEO yet. Yes, I understand how important she's still in London. Mr. Townsend returned to the table looking flustered. His earlier confidence diminished. Olivia, ever eager to impress, immediately launched into another story about her recent achievements. I just restructured our entire operations department, she boasted, cutting her turkey into precise pieces. Saved the company millions. I checked my phone under the table, pulling up the actual report from that project. Olivia had indeed made changes. Changes that had cost the company nearly $3 million in inefficiencies. I'd been watching the numbers tank for weeks, waiting for the right moment to address it. As CEO, I received daily updates on all major departmental changes, especially those led by executives like my sister. More wine, Catherine. Mom offered, probably hoping to keep me quiet during Olivia's moment of glory. Though maybe you should stick to water given your financial situation. Olivia snickered. Yes, community college teachers should really watch their spending. Mr. Townsend's phone buzzed again. This time when he checked it, his face went completely white. I need to make another call. Urgent business. As he hurried from the room, I could hear him practically begging into his phone. Please, just 5 minutes with Mrs. CEO, the board meeting tomorrow. I'd instructed my assistant to start sending him a series of increasingly urgent messages about tomorrow's meeting. A little cruel perhaps, but after years of watching Olivia lord her position over me, I felt entitled to some theatrical justice. Speaking of business, Uncle James chimed in. Did you all hear about Summit's latest acquisition? They just bought out Richardson Global for $12 billion. Olivia sat up straighter. Really? That's one of our biggest competitors. A hostile takeover, Aunt Margaret added. Richardson never saw it coming. This mysterious CEO. She's absolutely ruthless. I thought about the Richardson deal, remembering the late nights spent strategizing the careful maneuvering of assets. Ruthless wasn't the word I'd use. Strategic, perhaps. Determined, definitely. Mr. Townsend returned again, looking like he might faint. Mrs. CEO is calling an emergency pre-board meeting tomorrow at 7:00 a.m. All department heads must attend. Olivia's fork clattered against her plate. What? But tomorrow's Christmas. She doesn't care. Mr. Townsend replied weakly. She's reviewing all recent operational changes. Olivia, bring your restructuring reports. Now seemed like the perfect moment. I cleared my throat softly. Mr. Townsend. He looked up, seemingly surprised to hear my voice from the far end of the table. Yes, the meeting's actually at 8 a.m. not 7, and Olivia won't need her reports. I've already reviewed them. The room went silent. Olivia let out a nervous laugh. What are you talking about? You don't even work for Summit. I stood up slowly, smoothing my simple sweater. Actually, I do. In fact, I am Summit. I turned to Mr. Townsend. Those reports you've been trying to get to me, I received them last week. We should discuss the Q4 projections. They're off by about $30 million. Mr. Townsend's mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. You're Catherine Wilson, CEO of Summit Enterprises. Yes. I smiled, enjoying the way Olivia's face had drained of all color. Though most people just call me Mrs. CEO. Mom's wine glass slipped from her fingers, spilling red across the white tablecloth. No one moved to clean it up. This is a joke, Olivia whispered. It has to be. I pulled out my phone, projecting my company ID onto the dining room wall. There it was in high definition. My photo, my title, my company. No joke, Liv. While you were climbing the corporate ladder, I built the building. But you're a teacher. Mom stammered. I teach one class per semester at the community college. I corrected her. Because I believe in education and giving back. The rest of my time is spent running one of the largest private equity firms in the world. Olivia pushed back from the table, her chair scraping against the floor. You can't be. You live in a tiny apartment. You drive a Honda. I own the building where my tiny apartment is located. As for the Honda, I shrugged. It's good for the environment, unlike your Mercedes, which, by the way, you probably shouldn't have charged to the company account. Mr. Townsend had sunk into his chair, no doubt remembering every condescending comment he'd made in meetings about the mysterious CEO. The garage, he muttered. We made you sleep in the garage. Yes, I said quietly. You did. All of you were so busy judging me by appearances that you never bothered to look deeper. I turned to Olivia. Remember last month when you denied Sarah in accounting time off for her son's surgery? Olivia nodded mutely. I approved her medical leave personally and arranged for the best specialist in the country because that's what real leaders do. They take care of their people. Dad finally found his voice. Why didn't you tell us? Would it have mattered? I asked, meeting his eyes. Would you have treated me any differently if I hadn't been successful on your terms? This family measures worth by brand names and bank accounts. I wanted to build something meaningful. I turned to Mr. Townsend. The board meeting tomorrow will proceed as scheduled. We'll be discussing the operational restructuring that cost us $3 million, among other things. My eyes shifted to Olivia. I suggest everyone comes prepared. You're going to fire me, Olivia whispered. No, I replied, gathering my belongings. I'm going to do what I should have done years ago. Hold you accountable. Success isn't about titles or corner offices. It's about integrity, innovation, and actual results. I headed toward the garage to collect my bag. Behind me, I could hear the chaos erupting. Mom's protests, Olivia's denials, Mr. Townsend's frantic phone calls. One more thing, I said, pausing at the door. I won't be sleeping in the garage tonight. I have a suite at the Four Seasons, which I own, by the way. Merry Christmas. As I drove away in my environmentally friendly Honda, my phone buzzed with messages from family members, apologies, explanations, attempts to rewrite history. I ignored them all. The next morning, I sat at the head of the boardroom table in Summit's headquarters, watching as Olivia and Mr. Townsend filed in with the other executives. Gone was my sister's smug superiority, replaced by something that looked remarkably like respect. Before we begin, I announced, I want to talk about company culture, about how we treat people regardless of their title or apparent status, because success isn't just about profits, it's about character. Olivia wouldn't meet my eyes, but I saw her taking notes for the first time in her career. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even. It's about showing people that their judgment of you never mattered in the first place. While they were busy looking down on me, I was building an empire. And as for next Christmas, I think I'll host it at my place. All 15,000 square feet of it. Let them sleep in the garage.